So, welcome to Legendary Studios. I'm Cax, this is Flash, and we just got through our first playthrough of Splendor Duel. We are going to share our thoughts with you on this great little game here on Legendary Tactics. So, we just finished our first game. Flash, what's your first impression?
Okay, so in our playthrough, I told you this was my favorite game of 2022.
That was a bold statement, by the way.
What I really like about it is how compact it is. Tiny little box, tons and tons of gameplay. It's actually quite an upgrade on the original Splendor because you've got extra ability cards.
Yes.
You've got pearls. You've got privilege tokens. You've got 3 different paths to victory. You've got the royal cards. To me, there's actually a lot more game in a smaller box.
You got a very neat mechanic too with the jewel-driven selection options.
Right. Yes,
that is a new element too as well, because in the previous incarnation it was just take any 3 you want, right?
That's right. Yeah, and so this adds a bit of randomness to the game, but also what I love about a good game is strategy.
Tactics in it, absolutely.
Yes. And there's some tactics in terms of how you choose your pieces in order to deprive the other. And this is a game where you have to pay attention to what your opponent's doing. And in our playthrough, I completely didn't do that. I wasn't watching what he was doing. I wasn't seeing what cards he needed. And you earned that game.
Yeah, it was a fun game.
This weekend, you've been on a perfect streak.
Bit of a tear.
Wins.
Bit of a tear. I didn't want to mention it.
Gotta
didn't want to
take
jinx
you
it. But they also have these scrolls.
They do, which add a different element to it.
Yes, which is, just so for the viewers who don't know, this is basically the opportunity to go on the board, pick any card minus the jewels, or the gold token. You can't take the gold token. But any jewel you want on the board, including pearls, I believe?
I believe so.
Yeah,
yes.
So we can do pearls as well. So, also gives you some flexibility. Now, at one point in the game we played, I had all 3 of them, allowing me up to 3 grabs off the main board, anywhere I wanted. Normally, you'd have to stay to your row or diagonal. So that was kind of a neat element as well that the main game doesn't offer.
That's right. In terms of the time of the game, it took us about 25 minutes, 30 minutes to play the game, which I think is just the right length for this. It's a lunchtime game.
It's perfect. Again, yep. You got an hour off at your lunch, half hour at your lunch. You can get this game in with a friend. Absolutely. So it's compact. It's fun. I highly recommend it.
Now, one thing I want to ask you about, you've played 7 Wonders Duel.
Yes.
And would you say that 7 Wonders Duel is an improvement over 7 Wonders as Splendor Duel is an improvement over Splendor?
7 Wonders Duel was actually surprisingly finicky with some rules, I found. Yeah, I think I liked the game. It's on my shelf, and it's one that I want to get back to again. I played it a couple times, but I think it's actually a little bit finicky. Like, there was a little bit of rule checks, but I think once you get into the ebb and flow of it, it's a little more pencil and paper and calculator, kind of like 7 Wonders, but I like this one better. I think 7 Wonders Duel is trying to do what Splendor Duel did a lot better.
Yes. I would say this game, I love it, and I love 7 Wonders Duel, but I love this even more than the original Splendor. And in a way, I almost have to say, I don't know if I'll go back and play Splendor as much as I used to.
Not with this.
I mean, the only reason for me to do that would be multiplayer, if you want 3 or 4 players in there.
Yeah.
But if I'm just playing 2 players, this wins hands down every time.
Oh, yeah.
And I love Splendor. Splendor's a great game.
It's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. Yeah. I actually play. I have it on my Android app there, and I use it on the app, and I find that fun. That's a great digital way to, if you want to get your Splendor in.
That's right.
But now, components. What would you say about components?
I can't believe you get what you get in this little box. You get the
little
little bag.
box
And these are nice, high quality plastic. The privilege tokens are great. The cards are nice. The artwork is beautiful. Overall, like this is a 10 out of 10 game for me. Like, I think this might actually crack my top 10 games.
Come on,
yeah,
really? It's that high.
Good. Yeah,
it is. It's got actually a surprising a lot to it for the little box that it comes in. I totally agree.
And you know me, I don't like a super complex game, but I like a game with a ton of strategy.
Well, when you're looking at, speaking of complex games, I mean, the rule book is a total of, even in the French version, is still 11 pages, right?
That's right.
If you want the English version, Flash, 11 too?
Very small.
11-2.
That's right.
So look at that.
It's really well done.
And some of it's even credits and whatever else, so there's not a lot to it.
But before we go, I have to ask you downsides. What do you not like about Splendor Duel?
Well, you were just talking about the card. I think the cards could be a little. I mean, they're a little bit flimsy. I think maybe the jewels could have been a little nicer. I'm being nitpicky though, really.
You are. I disagree 100%.
Do you?
I think the cards are fine. They're reasonably thick. They're not super flimsy. I wouldn't want larger tokens. I mean, you want the larger tokens? Go to the original game.
I want the gems.
I want a compact game.
I wanted gems. That's if I had my.
That'd be clunky though.
You got the gem bag. You got them all nice in here. I don't know. I just think the nice, beautiful gems. Sapphires, rubies.
Okay,
that's just
I can see an argument for that.
Okay, all right. So I'm slowly starting to swim on a really minutia detail.
Yes.
Well, how about you though?
Well, the one thing I would be curious about is how many times do people win by each of the different victory conditions? I imagine it's been play tested to death and it's fairly balanced. But in the games I've seen, just about everybody, because of their instinct, goes for the 20 points.
It's 21st.
It's fairly hard to concentrate enough in one color because you're dependent on which cards come
up. The card
up.
row.
And if you don't get 10 points worth of cards popping up here, and you try for that strategy and you get stuck at 9, you're done.
Yeah.
Whereas this, with 20, you can just go for it. And the crowns, same thing like this turn. I only had 2 crowns up. And I was having trouble getting the third one without a really awkward series of plays. So that might be my only criticism, is that the paths to victory are probably going to lean towards the 20. But please, in the comments, let me know if your experience of the game is different. Which path to victory do you use, or have you used the most frequently? That's what I'm curious about.
I'm also wondering, now that you're talking about that, the path to victory, is these 3 cards here, and their actual importance. They're not worth the big point scores, because I think in the original game they were 4, and they're higher point values in the original.
That's right, yes.
So these ones are only 2, 2, and 2, or they're worth some 3s, but they're still a smaller scaled down version, and you still have to get 3 of the castles or 6 of the castles. So
That's
right. Tall order.
But what these do is they add to the strategy of the game instead. They're not point-driven cards. I mean, you chose the one that's the only point one.
That's right.
But these give you bursts. And so if you combine, say, you end up with 3 privilege tokens.
Yep.
And get your 3, then you make a move, which gets you enough that you score one of these.
Then you get another turn.
Then you get another turn. And so you can actually go from, say, 14 points quite easily. Burst up to 20.
That is a good point. Yeah. So they're not meant as the kind of the icing on the cake to win the game.
That's right.
They're meant as another vehicle to get there.
That's right. Or it might give me a way to prevent you from winning the game if it's really close and I see you need that one. I steal the 1 token you need, and although towards end game, I mean, I can't stop you if you need a blue card, you just take it. So,
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
okay.
Fantastic. But overall, what do you give it out of 10?
I'd give it a solid 9.
Wow.
9. I really did. I mean, it wasn't your 10.
Yeah.
If you're still sticking with it.
This is a 10.
Oh, there it is. Holy.
This is really good.
There's nothing wrong with this game.
I love it. Yeah.
I love it.
And I will say, too, everyone I've played it with 4 different people, and everyone I played it with has really liked the game.
Really?
Yes.
It hasn't been...
It's light enough that you can play it socially with people who aren't really gamers.
Yes.
It's heavy
versatile.
enough that strategy gamers love it.
That you could puzzle on the maps, you could puzzle on the card row, and your own tableau.
That's right there. So you know what we need to do?
Get out there.
Get gaming.
And be legendary.